Topic of the webinar today is Function from Anywhere with Azure. I would like to introduce the presenters for today's session. Mr. RamGanesh, Technical Solutions Professional, Azure, Microsoft India. Mr. Ramnath, Technology Consultant, 4th Dimension Technologies. A small note to the participants. If you have any doubts or queries regarding the session, you are free to post in the chat box so that our presenters can attend your queries then and there or end of the session. I would request Mr. Ramnath and Mr. RamGanesh to take up the session. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, for giving us such a nice introduction and also the warm welcome. Okay, present. Good morning, everyone. So, as introduced, my name is Ramnath. I'm taking care of the technology consultations in Azure and Office 365 and M365 and 4th Dimension Technologies. So today's webinar topic is going to be all about function from anywhere. So basically, function from anywhere is something like which right now is an important topic that we should know all about. Because the pandemic we expect to end this somehow feeling like it's going to extend for a much more period. So I guess this is the right time to know about how we can function from anywhere with Azure and with Microsoft policies. So this topic might help you a lot in understanding the Azure and as well as understanding the infrastructure level services that 4th Dimension is providing you. Dear customers, I have one small request. Any questions or any doubts that you have, you can ask it then and there, or else you can also post it in the Teams chat window, where our people will be reading out loud the questions so that others will also be able to understand the queries that you have raised. So please do not hesitate. That is one small request again from my side as well. Okay, so let us get into the presentation and let us get into the webinar to understand Azure and function from anywhere. So as I've already told you, function from anywhere. See, not just pandemic, beat any kind of situations where you need an employee or where you need an member of an organization to work from the location, whatever they prefer. Like it could be their home, or it could be a guest location, or it could be anywhere from India, or it could be anywhere from country, anywhere from the world even. So wherever they are, if they feel like working from that particular location where they are comfortable or where they are right now, and if they need to completely access the entire organization resource without even a single disturbance or disconnectivity, this would be the right solution to go ahead, where you can rely on. One more small request. Please, participants, mute yourself. Unmute only if it's necessary. Okay, thank you. All right, so getting back to the topic again. So wherever they are, immaterial of what location in the world they are, the only thing that they require is an internet connectivity. With that connectivity, they can do all the functions and all the operations which they can do when they sit inside the organization. That is how function from anywhere is going to help you from an organization point of view, right? So 4D actually, we have enabled like so many customers in the point of function from anywhere. Even in fact, we as 4D work from anywhere. Like we work from various locations. Our employees are like in different locations outside Coimbatore, and there are a few people who are working from abroad, like US and UK as well. So anyway, they are all working from their own locations, but they feel like working from office because the entire resource of 4th Dimension is accessible for all their employees, all our employees as well. So that's how function from anywhere is operational. And so being being a reseller, being a vendor, being an Azure solution specialist, being a partner for Microsoft, we ourselves has deployed, so we can guarantee you that function from anywhere would definitely help you. Specifically saying like in pandemic and epidemic situations, like the past COVID-19 or the upcoming lockdown that we are expecting, in all these scenarios, it will help you a lot. In fact, because buying an infrastructure and then transporting an infrastructure is going to be difficult until we come over from COVID-19. So until that, I mean, at least for temporary process, until we come over with this, COVID-19, at least we can definitely go for a function from anywhere solution, because when it comes to the Azure point of view, the function from anywhere, not just function from anywhere, like any solutions that you avail in Azure, you can use it as long as you need. So which means like you can take it for a temporary time period, and you can get back to your old, on-prem scenario or whatever scenario that you have easily without any disturbance or without any kind of, practical impossibilities. It's very easy actually. So just moving things for a temporary, at least for a temporary time duration, gives you a lot of hope, gives you a lot of confidence to do your production as normal as how you work in your organization. So this is what we are going to see in today's presentation. Okay, we will also see step by step topics. What are the subtopics that comes under the function from anywhere? How is it going to help you in your environment, and how are we going to do everything in a possible way? So that's what we are going to see. See, when it comes to the cloud perspective and when it comes to the Azure perspective, Azure has a lot of tools and a lot of resources and a lot of solutions, which makes your function from anywhere very creative, very easy, very secure, and also productive. Specifically when I say function from anywhere, the important thing, the very important thing that comes to all the IT administrator or all the management people is the data that they preserve in their organization. Because obviously, when there is a data leak happens, and when a competitor is availing the data, that becomes a loss to the company. That becomes very big trouble. Now, on that point, definitely I can guarantee you that Azure gives you a various kind of options, variety of options that can protect your data, and as well as make your organization people work from anywhere. So protecting your data, along with that, you're going to make them work from anywhere. So that is definitely going to help you to bring your production up in any point of time, at anywhere, at any location. So that is what we are going to do. That is what we are going to see in this function from anywhere. And again, I'm reiterating, please keep in mind that this is not going to be like complete changeover where you have to continue in this part. Like any resources that you avail in Azure is going to be at your choice and going to be at your command. So you can avail it, you can opt it when you need it, and then you can just simply close it and get back to your old scenario whenever you need it. So it is not going to be like you're totally going to change into that. And again, that is also your wish. We welcome you with wholehearted to Azure, where you can migrate your entire infrastructure and you can continue in Azure itself, which gives you a lot of comfortableness, specifically when it comes to the hardware maintenance and also coming to the power supply problems and all. Definitely, we welcome you. So please keep in mind, like anything that you want, we can put it in Azure and you can keep it in up and running. So a small here and there, a little changes could be there, but still, yes, anything is possible in Azure. Right. So let's get into the ways of deploying or the options that we can opt when you go for the function from anywhere scenario. So user identity and access is there, and MFA, which is like multi-factor authentication, is there, and managing your devices is there, productivity applications and access to the line of business, and Windows virtual desktop infrastructure, and designing for specific roles, which is like any resources that you opt for, you can design for the specific roles of your, categories of your organization employees. And along with that, we're also going to see about service monitoring. And along with that, we're going to see about the plus and minus, and majorly like how 4D can help you in the point of Azure and also in the point of work from anywhere. Right. One by one, we will have a look at. Okay, so the first topic, like the first option that you're going to look at is, user identity and access. The major problem when everyone thinks of work from anywhere is like user level authentication and access and connectivity to their specific resources. Because people will always think of how I'm going to, give the user identity, how they're going to access their own resources from the location where they work. These are the major questions like everyone will usually have. Okay, so let me clarify it with this, user identity and access. Okay, so the major, part of user identity is going to be the Azure AD services along with the Microsoft 365 Allies Office 365 services. So any, user authentication or user level permissions or restrictions that you would like to apply, Azure Active Directory is going to help you, where the Azure Active Directory is a service. It's a software as a service model kind of a thing, which is going to get connected with your, AD that which you have in your on-prem, or you can even deploy an AD on cloud where you can integrate with it, and whatever rules and policies and objects and queries that you apply in your Active Directory, that is going to be synchronized with your Azure AD, in which the Azure AD is going to give you a cloud level, global level connectivity to all the users, where the restrictions and the policies that you are applied is going to imply on the end user's laptop as well. So this is something which is like very important, where you put all the policies in your AD, and that synchronizes with your Azure Active Directory. Via that, your end user's laptop, wherever they are and where they are connected, there exactly it is going to be implied, and they are going to connect into the organization without any problem. So that's something which is always useful. And along with that, many applications, many softwares, or anything that you deploy on cloud can even be included with the user identity services. Because Azure AD is a service which is like, pre-planned in a way where people can, easily access their resources which is deployed on cloud, and also the resources that is deployed on your on-prem infrastructure by the synchronization of your Active Directory. Okay, so that is something which helps you in the user identity and access in the Azure. One more added point is there which I'd like to bring up here so that you can understand it in an easier way. Let's say if you have a mail service as well in Office 365 or Microsoft 365, that's going to be a very, 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 very helpful thing here, because M365 also comes with Windows 10 software assurance, in which you can upgrade your existing Windows 8 or 8.1 or 10 into the latest version of Windows 10 business or enterprise SKUs accordingly to the plan that you opt for. And along with that, you will also get a mail solution, you will get an archival solution, audio video conferencing via Teams, and much more services with the Active Directory control and the feature of controlling the end user device. See, the device could be anything, but the controlling will also be easier. So we will see about the device controlling later on another topic. So right now the core point is about the user identity and access. So the Azure AD connects you with your existing AD, and it has the synchronization of your users. Via that, it has the identity and access control. Right. So when we speak about the Azure identity, user identity, or Azure Active Directory, we also have to think about another important fact, which is multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is like you get an authentication in 2 or 3 levels, access your resources. Yeah, any questions? I'm hearing some noise. Hello? Okay, I guess no one has a question. Let me continue then. Right. So coming back to the multi-factor authentication, okay. See, having a 2-level or 3-level authentication for any access, for any access to the applications that you have, any applications or any resources that you have, gives you confidence that your data is secure. So that multi-factor authentication can also be done in Azure. Where you can incorporate it with your Azure AD, or where you can incorporate it with your Office 365 or Microsoft 365. See, the best part when it comes to the multi-factor authentication is you can also use like hardware tokens or SMS or voice calls, or even more secure, like you have an authenticator app which can be installed on your mobile phones, and that generates a random code of every 30 seconds. So even if you lose the mobile, still you can change it to the voice call or SMS to your SIM card or the oath hardware token. So varieties of options are also there through which you can access it. Probably the oath hardware token can be explained in another webinar session, because it's a little bit bigger topic where I need to concentrate separately, like when we go for a security topic in a webinar. Okay, so these kind of things can be done with the multi-factor authentication in Azure. Right, and we are again coming to the topic which I said like earlier that we will cover up in the next slide or something, which is going to be the management of your devices. Managing your device, as in there are various options that is basically required in an organization, because when you function from anywhere, so you give your device to the end user who carries the device to their preferred locations. That could be their house, or that could be the room they live temporarily, or that could be their relatives' house. It could be anywhere. Could be as I said earlier, could be like beyond sea level. I mean, could be like across the sea level. Like could be in any other countries, or could be in any other state or cities or anywhere. Right. So when they carry their devices and they have it in their own control, okay, the major problem that everyone thinks about is losing the organization data, because today's life, taking out the data from a system is very easy, like just a simple pen drive where they can insert copy, and then they can take the data to anywhere in an easiest way, like so that become very easy, not like olden days where you have to carry in a big size of hard disk or something like that. Now when these kind of easy carryover options are available, the IT side, which is the organization side, we are also should be enabled with how to protect the data. We should know how to keep our data safe and secure. So that way, can be done by using the Microsoft applications of managing the devices. See, to manage the devices, it could be like various type of devices that we can do. Okay, in which we may have to install specific applications, or we may have to configure with a specific set of tools. With that, we can definitely do a lot of managing and everything. Okay, so devices that includes like Windows, Mac, and Linux, or iOS or Android can also be managed, but not all the Linux or not all the devices can be managed. There are few restrictions when it comes to the open source, but when it comes to the Windows or Mac, any kind of device can be easily controlled, and even Android, any kind of device can be easily controlled. So Linux and Unix, there are few restrictions where few devices cannot be controlled. And when it comes to the Android per se, like the very lower versions of Android cannot be controlled, but still the application wise data can be controlled. Like not the complete device can be controlled, the data can alone be controlled. So that kind of positions are there. So any device basically, controlling the data is possible, but controlling the device wise, we have a few restrictions where all Linux or all Unix or all Android devices level cannot be managed. But data level security is always possible. We'll discuss more about the data level security later. Specifically, we basically call it as an endpoint manager or something like that. Over here now, here in this Office 365, we call it as like Intune. There's an application called as, or a service called as Intune, which is commonly called as mobile application management and mobile device management. MAM and MDM is what we basically call us. So with the help of that Intune services and also with the other security solutions which is available in Azure, we can control a device. We can also completely control the data of the organization, where no one can easily leak it to any other places or steal it from the organization. So that kind of management of the devices and also restriction of the data is there. Let me be more specific in the management of the devices, okay? So, which might help you a lot, in understanding the management, okay? See, when it comes to the device management, there are, 2 to 3 types of managing the devices there, okay? One is, organization enrollment, that is mobile enrolled management devices, and the other one is the Microsoft Endpoint Manager (MEM). Okay, so with the help of the MEM, I can enroll my mobile, which is enrolled mobile, and then like yes mobile kind of a thing. A mobile which is enrolled, which is completely under the control of the organization, is totally controlled, which has an even you insert an external data or you insert an external pen drive or a memory card, everything is completely controlled by the organization, which is enrolled under the organization as the organization's device. The other one is, bring your own device concept, which is the personal device. So when you connect your personal device under the, organization data, that will create a virtual space inside the mobile device where your organization applications are separated and their personal applications are separated. So they can do any kind of, process or any kind of data transfer with their personal application and personal devices. Whereas when it comes to the organization's application, they cannot download any data to their devices, or they cannot even forward it, or they can have the forwarding with the restrictions or the tracking. So those kind of management in the devices is applicable with the Intune process and the applications that are available in Microsoft Azure. Right. So when we do such kind of restrictions, or when we do such kind of controlling over the devices, we should also know about something which is called as the productivity of the application. So what are the productivity applications that we have which helps the organization to grow more? See, when we say like M365 or Office 365, in which the productivity applications are much more. Okay, so we have given you a few devices or few applications that helps you in a lot of way. So in which I personally would suggest you the teams in the OneDrive for Business are two I can even say there are like two Himalayas, in fact, to help you in an organization in the point of productivity. So basically, or an organization's point of view, basically in an organization's point of view, okay, the data sharing with restrictions like read permission, write permission, kind of a thing, or the modifications tracking. So these things are very important because they need to keep a track on each and every single point. Like for example, if a data is modified, for example, let's take an Excel file. If a file is modified, the end user is doing some kind of good changes, or sometimes they could do some bad changes, whatever that it be. If they do a kind of a changes, as an IT admin or as a management person, I need to know the track, who did the change and what time they did the change and what is the change that they have done. So these things can be tracked, and it can also be reverted to that same file with the help of this OneDrive for Business. See, when you maintain an internal, a file server, any changes they made, version history, and keeping a copy, taking a backup, all these things needs to be done to do the tracks and changes. But whereas in OneDrive for Business, a default version history is available. Okay, the version history helps you to keep track of 500 versions of a one file for one day. Now think of it, for every single file on every single day, you can maximally have up to 500 changes. Now think of each and every file on each and every day. So the track history, the change history of every user is going to be recorded, and also the history is going to be stored so that it more or less acts like a backup where you can revert it back. Not exactly a backup, but still more or less like a backup, because OneDrive is specifically, OneDrive is a cloud storage, obviously, we all know that. So the OneDrive cloud storage is basically a service, a storage service, which gives you an availability of 99.95%.
Now think of the availability itself is 99.9. So the one thing that you don't have to worry about is you're losing your data. See, they say 99.95 is because, there are natural disasters which no human can, avoid it. Say, for example, a meteoroid is going to struck, we can calculate it, we can predict it. But if something is coming a little bit faster, where it is going to hit and strike on a data center itself, that cannot be protected. So that is why, they're giving 99.95% of availability. But still, you don't have to worry about that problems as well, because if you pick a data center, specifically if you pick a data center for residing your data, there is an option in the cloud in Azure called as GRS, which is Geo Redundant Service, where your data can be replicated to two different data centers. So one data center could be in one place, the other data center could be in another place. I don't guess a meteoroid will struck two data centers at the same time, specifically looking for. Because, Microsoft has almost like more than, 40 data centers across the globe. So, so you can, for specific data alone, you can pick and choose on which data center your data has to decide. Only the replica, like Microsoft will, choose it because, it needs a specific distance. But for the primary data, you can pick and choose any data center across the globe. Depends on that. And there's one more important thing which we have to know about Microsoft data centers is like in India itself, we have like 3 data centers. So any replica or any recovery locations which you can pick and choose within the country if you have any compliance as such. That works here. Right. So apart from that OneDrive, we also have Teams and Yammer as a productivity services. Like Teams, obviously, that is what we are using now to do our webinar. Now, Teams per se, what is exactly Teams? If you ask me, I would say it is a productivity suite which helps me in audio video conferencing along with the management of your data. Say, for example, if you need to access your OneDrive files, which you can access it from Teams itself. And as well as if you need to make a call to a person, you can do the Teams calling, right? Even the dial-in option is available right now. Maybe for India per se, there are few restrictions from, TRAI regulations. So they are not, giving the services of dial-in option for all the users. I mean, all the application vendors. Only like 1 or 2 application vendors has got the dial-in feature in which Tata Communication is there, and then Cisco is there. Only they have opted for the dial-in, and that is still on production. That is still on development. So once after the trial and testing is over in Mumbai region, probably they will apply the dial-in also for Teams, Microsoft Teams. So only in India per se, but other countries we still have the dial-in. We're using the number just by dialing from their mobile with any cell phone, tower range. They can just get connected to the meetings from anywhere. So that is also available. Think of the Teams application. It is available for iOS. It is available for Android. It is available for Microsoft Windows in all the platforms, specifically whatever is available right now in the market, and through which you can connect to a call, audio call, video call, chat space. You can also do OneDrive access over there. Even in fact, they are supporting for the third-party vendors as well, other cloud vendors as well. You can sign in your Google Drive or other drives which is specifically related to Teams and incorporate that specific data like Google Drive data or the other drives data into the Teams, and you can work on it. Now this gives you a handy thing in making your productivity. So not just Teams or not just OneDrive, we also have a Yammer, which is like to make it simple to understand. I would say Yammer is like an internal Facebook through which you can access a lot of information chat. It could be personal information or it could be office entertainment information. Even Yammer is also used for internal knowledge base. Say for example, like if you're an organization wise, there's a big team where 50 to 100 people are there. Yeah, sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah. Say for example, if there is like a wide range of people in the team, 50 to 100 or even 200 or 500 people in the same team, where they work on the same product or where they work on the same solution set, where we can put them into a team inside the Yammer, and they can just like that post their ideas and we can pick and choose which is the best idea, and they can implement it. See, the collaboration of a work, in an organization gives a more productivity. So that kind of productivity can be done with the Yammer as well, because maybe teams can be restricted to video chats or images or something like that. Yammer gives you a kind of a next level of collaboration more than teams. In fact, I should say it gives you an interface kind of a thing where you can post a content. A specific content can be attached to people inside the organization with reference and other things. That kind of solutions are available when it comes to the productivity of the applications. So not just Teams, not just Yammer, or not just OneDrive. There are many products available. Say, for example, there's a product called as SharePoint, through which if there is a SharePoint developer, you can develop your own customized internal website for your organization. So developing your internal website for your organization gives you a production hike kind of a thing, development things. And also, you have Microsoft Forms, through which you can get a feedback, or through which you can get content making or question and answer session kind of a thing. All these things can be done. So we also have Microsoft Bookings, which makes an appointments easier, and take it forward. And sometimes we may need automations and all this kind of stuff. So for those kind of automation stuffs and all, we also have Microsoft Flow, a product called as Microsoft Flow, through which you can do an automation. Like, for example, a particular mail comes in, or a particular ticket, or a particular thing happens. This kind of trigger should be there, and that should enable, or that should start up one more work. So these kind of things are always possible in your Microsoft Flow, like Power Automate and Power Flow, and many options are also available in productivity. So many options are available that you will only come to know when you exactly explore it specifically to say. See, even in OneDrive, there's a feature like which most of the people wanted, was like, how can I access others' files? You can map a folder which some other user has shared into your local OneDrive, so that the OneDrive gives you a local access in your laptop or the desktop. You can just simply install a small application through which you can get your OneDrive files locally as well. So when I say locally, which is like you can avail it in offline as well, so that let's say if you are not connected in an internet network, so that you can whatever you want to do, you can just simply work on offline, and then you can just simply save it. Now, what happens in this kind of option is, like, the next day or the next moment when you get connected to the internet, all your changes will be uploaded to the internet, and it will get synchronized to the cloud storage, so that any changes that you made, it will be automatically synchronized the moment you get connected to the internet. So it doesn't mean you have to always work in offline. Obviously, get connected with online at least once in a way, so that your data gets uploaded to the cloud. So once the data gets uploaded to the cloud, so it will be available at any point of time from any location for all the people that you have shared. See, OneDrive is actually a very wonderful product. You will only know it when you use it to its full potential. Unless you use it for its full potential, you can never understand it. Like, understanding OneDrive, you might think of OneDrive as just a storage where I put a file, just it simply sits stored. No, it's not like that. OneDrive can be used for various variety of services, a lot of services which can, bring your hard work down and make it very easier to deploy a lot of solutions. Trust me, we have, as fourth dimension, we have, incorporated the OneDrive storage for many organizations in different options, and they are benefited in multiple ways. There are even organizations where they have even completely, removed their on-premise storage itself, like physical file server storage itself, where they continue to use OneDrive. So that is something literally useful. I've seen people, like organizations, they store their, Outlook PST files even into the OneDrive, because OneDrive for Business, when I say, you might think like, what is it going to be? Like 1 TB for every user itself is like so big. So that is, just a basic plan. If you go for like higher end plans and all, like you will get unlimited storage where up to 25 TB you get it as a OneDrive, and more than 25 TB you get it as a SharePoint storage. Now think of these things, like 25 TB per user is not just easiest thing. Like storing so much of data is like so big onto the cloud, where they maintain it without any hardware problems or without any troubles. Even if they face any hardware problems, you won't see even a small changes while you access it. That level of dedication is going to be there from Microsoft when it comes to the OneDrive. So never hesitate to implement something like OneDrive in your organization, and please do come back to Fourth Dimension if you need demo kind of a thing, or if you need ideologies to implement your OneDrive into your organizational infrastructure. Not just OneDrive, anything like B Teams or B Yamas, anything that if you want to deploy in your organization, please do not hesitate to come back. We are always here to give you ideas where you can implement it on your organization to make your productivity high. Right. Let's get into the next topic, which is like access to the line of business. See, access to the line of business. See, when I say function from anywhere, the very, 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 very important thing is your data. But next to that important data, the very important second thing is the line of business application. So it could be your CRM, or it could be your ERP, or it could be any other Android applications that you use. The applications, whatever you use, can be easily migrated to the cloud. Again, I'm saying, see, when I say cloud, it is not just completely moving from your on-prem to the cloud. You can also avail it for temporary purpose until the lockdown is completed, or until this pandemic or epidemic situation is completed. And also, again, I'm saying, see, any point of time, if you need a service on cloud, you can opt it, just complete the migration and then take it on cloud, use it from anywhere. Once the problem is solved, you can revert it back to the same option that you are already using. So that is also possible. So anything is possible with Azure that you can do. All right. Now coming back to the line of business applications, it could be SAP, or it could be Tally, or it could be a customized CRM, anything that you use, because even Microsoft also has the CRM applications. Okay, we have something called as Microsoft 365 Dynamics, through which you can do all your customer relationship management, and that is available in a subscription basis through which you can access it. Now, if you have your own customized CRM, or if you have your own customized ERP applications, again, that is also easily deployable on Azure servers. See, Azure has various types of virtual servers and also app services which is available in the availability time of maximum up to 99.99%. See, you will obviously think about the security on the second point. When it comes to the security, Azure has its own firewall, Azure has its own rules. You have the protections, port numbers, and all the servers also will have antivirus. Like when you go for the Windows Microsoft company of operating systems, it has the Microsoft Defender as well. And along with it, you have 4D to give you right solutions and suggestions when it comes to the security perspective. Now think of it. Now when you take your line of business application to the cloud as well, work from anywhere becomes more easier, because you don't have to worry about the availability or redundancy of the internet in your organization. You don't have to put a specific person sitting in the organization to maintain your servers. I still know, and I still have heard so much of stories. I'm still hearing a lot of stories which, or who says that people stayed in the organization itself in the lockdown time for that 6 months or 7 months period. Company has spent a lot of money for them to get the accessories, food, and then entertainment, where the IT engineers, like more than 5 people or 6 people or 10 people, stayed in the organization itself to maintain the servers. So those level of things are very difficult basically to maintain. Bring it to cloud, the maintenance itself is very easy, because the cloud data centers are going to do that on behalf of you. So you just keep your applications easily accessible. And if you need any changes on that, like kind of a customization, timelines, backup, or DR, anything, which is again available in the Azure. And support wise also, you don't have to worry. You can also help yourself by coming into the relationship with fourth dimension, which is like we maintain your data on behalf of you. We do all the services 24/7, because as I already told you, even we are working from home, which is 24/7. We have all the resource access because even we are a cloud-based company. Our data are also in cloud, or authentications and everything is cloud. Even in fact, the webinar which I'm doing right now, I'm doing it from my home, from my room. So now see how easy it is for me to do it. That kind of help you can always get from fourth dimension. That kind of service you can rely on from fourth dimension services. Okay, so along with the Microsoft, you make your existing infrastructure into a easier and available infrastructure where the end users can work from home. See, and the next point that I'd like to cover up is more like going to be a little bit of, or more like technical part where IT admins can easily understand. Obviously, see, not just servers. Microsoft also has various range of services to access your line of business application. See, there are various combinations, or I should say, the various combos available when you deploy a LOB application. Not just LOB application, any application let it be, any services that it be. There are various options available. So to make it simple, let me explain the application end in a simpler way. So when you take an application, okay, any application that an end user is accessing, there are two major parts, which is your front end and the other one is your back end. So front end is something which is called as an application. It could be an EXE based application or it could be a web based application. Back end is something called as a database, which could be an DBMS or which could be an RDBMS or which could even be a simple basic Excel file, material of the database, or type of database that you use. Now, when I say front end application, you have two options where you can launch your front end application. One is a virtual machine where you can deploy it and launch it globally. And the second is your web app service where you can launch your application. Okay, so web applications can be launched in web apps as well as the virtual machines, where EXE based application can be launched only via the virtual machines, in which you may have to go for a remote desktop services to make your employee to access the EXE based application. And almost like 90 to 99% of all the applications are web based right now. So I don't think you may have to struggle a lot with the EXE based application. Okay, now coming to the database. Okay, so any kind of database that you use, more than the front end, the back end has more features in Azure. See, when I say database, you can deploy your database on Azure virtual machines. Okay, that is one option. And also you can also deploy your virtual machines on-premise itself, where the database will get connected to the front-end application on the cloud. You can also deploy your database application on the platform as a service model. See, Azure has various database applications supportable, which is like you have Microsoft SQL, you have MySQL, you have MongoDB, you have MariaDB, right? All these varieties of application. Even HANA HANADB is also available in your Microsoft data centers. So any kind of database that you have, you can avail it in Azure. Only one database which is not available in cloud is Oracle, because Oracle doesn't give any license to any cloud vendor, because their database is hosted on their own cloud. So only Oracle, they are not providing it to be deployed on any cloud at all. Apart from that, any database you bring, we can help you to deploy it from the Microsoft's data center. Right, so that kind of things are there with the Azure's database. And even not just database, not just SQL database, even NoSQL database, Cosmos database are also available in Microsoft. So that kind of line of business applications are there. And when I say line of business application, the access to the line of business application, there are two more things which pops up into the mind of IT administration, which is again the security. What is the security that we provide in the database? Because database is where the entire organization's productive data is stored. So if they lose the data, then everything is lost. That's how people say. So what kind of security do we have for database perspective? So security per se, various options are there, but let me come up with like few simple and easiest things that we have to deploy on the database. One is the database is deployed on the private IP address, which gets connected to the public IP in the servers of the front end. So that way you can protect your data, which is like the database is not directly accessible. No one hits the database directly. So that is one thing. And along with that, you also have the Microsoft firewall that protects your data. Okay. And second thing that you have is Microsoft comes up with a product called as web application firewall. The firewall, a specific type of a firewall service, which is like application firewall service that protects your data, that protects your database from SQL attacks, phishing attacks, or SQL injections kind of things. So you can always protect your data with variety of security services available in Microsoft Azure. Now the core point in access to LOB is once you protect your data, once the line of business is available from cloud with productivity and high security, when people can work from home, so anyway, function from anywhere is going to be like so easy. That is something which is handy. The last but not the second, or maybe you can say one thing which is the last thing that we can consider about functioning from anywhere is going to be your client desktop infrastructure. In other words, we can call it as a Windows virtual desktop infrastructure. Microsoft has a wonderful product which is called as WVDI, Windows virtual desktop infrastructure. You deploy your Windows 10 on cloud where end users access it. Now think of it. See, basically when you deploy a cloud application or productivity suite, okay, in Azure, okay, end users can access it from their personal devices as well as the office given devices. Okay. Now if you think like be it any device they use, I don't want to do any kind of restriction. Instead, I also don't want to lose your data. The best and easiest way is to go for a Windows virtual desktop infra. Now, when they access this virtual desktop infra from their personal laptop or personal desktop or even office given laptop or desktop, okay, the data is only going to reside on the cloud. So they can transfer no single data into the local device. It will be completely restricted, entirely secure. And specifically, when I say Windows virtual desktop infrastructure, the past COVID-19 lockdown, which is still expanding, in fact, if I say, okay. See, in the lockdown times, availing a laptop or availing a hardware and providing it to your end user where you can make them to work from home has become a very, very complicated thing, because they might have a device, they might have their personal laptop, which may not be up to the level of configuration that we expect to work in our organization. Now, these scenarios, Windows virtual desktop infrastructure comes in handy. So you can deploy a high configuration desktop infrastructure which can be accessed via the low configuration devices that your end user is having, because that is going to be their own device. Like specifically saying to the Tamil Nadu's perspective, most of the people have their government provided laptop, which is a lightweight laptop, which is a lightweight configuration as well. But even via using that government laptop, they can avail the service. I mean, they can use the resources of the Windows virtual desktop infrastructure, where you give a high-end configuration on the WVDI, where they can deploy and use all the applications in an easier way for the pandemic situations or epidemic situations, in commonly to say work from home scenarios. So what are the benefits of Windows virtual desktop infrastructure, if I say, right? So you get a Windows desktop, that is Windows 10 desktop on any device and anyway. It also have a built-in intelligence security services like Windows Defender is there, internal firewall is there, and everything is there. And you can deploy and scale in a fraction of minutes actually to say. Like you can increase the configuration of your desktop infrastructure, you can increase the number of desktops which is available for your users, all these things can be done. And there's one more also which is important in WBDA is, if you are using an enterprise license of Windows 10 with the software assurance, you can also reduce the cost using the existing licenses. Not just for Windows virtual desktop infrastructure, could be for your servers as well, or could be for your, SQL, Microsoft SQL database licenses as well. So that kind of thing is also possible, which we basically call it as a Azure hybrid benefits that can be done. Okay, right. The next thing is like, we saw about, designing for specific roles. See, when we say designing for specific roles, basically what happens over here is like, when we deploy a Windows virtual desktop infrastructure, or when we deploy a virtual machine itself on cloud, or when we deploy a PaaS model of database, the configuration of the particular deployment could be anything. The configuration of the deployment is completely dependent on the type of work that the end user is doing. Say, for example, in an organization, you could have a software developer, you could have a database management person, you could have a designer, a person who designs, applications, or you could have a person who's a video editor, who's a content editor, or you could have a person who's going to make just telephone calls, or who could do just mailings like a KPO kind of a thing. So there are varieties of designations in every organization, and variety of loads and variety of works done by the specific people. Now this scenario is more complicated when you deploy it from the internal organization. But whereas in cloud it is so damn easy to work with, because in cloud they are providing you with various services which we call it as a series. Say, for example, in Azure virtual machine point of view, there are various series available. Say, for example, one is like economical series, which starts with the alphabet B. Any VM that you purchase with the alphabet B in Azure is going to be an economical series, which gives you a cost benefits, and service level and component level is going to be good enough actually. Not like under the margin or something like that. It's good, as well as like you can work in a perfect way. At the same time, let's say if you were expecting a high core processing, like core like processing level high-end virtual machines, you can go for a series called as D. Basically, and as 4D, we personally call it as a database series, which is, for example, okay. So D series virtual machines are high compute virtual machines, and N series, virtual machines are high graphic virtual machines. So like that, various series are available through which you can pick and choose the configuration for people on specific to the designations, on specific to the products that they work with. So these kind of designing is also there on Microsoft Azure, where you can work on it. Right. We are again coming to the service monitoring part. Okay. So when we say service monitoring, see, 4D is going to help you with the 24/7 knock and SOC support team. And apart from that, even Azure also has their own specific service monitoring tools available with it. Okay. Any services that you opt for in Azure, you also have a service monitoring tool where you can enable it, might cost very low, very, very low, in fact. Okay. So you can avail your service monitoring tool. With that specific, service monitoring tool, you have a lot of services that can be monitored. The services could be your application, or the services could be your operating system, or it could be your database. Sorry, it could be your database, or it could be your, specific, data inside, or it could be your performance of your network, or it could be your, hard disk performance, or it could be your processor's performance, or the load that we avail. So it could be anything on that specific, deployed infrastructure. So everything can be monitored, via the help of the Azure service monitoring. You can also get a random reports with that. And one benefit, when it comes to the service monitoring with 4th dimension is, all the services, each and every single services that you avail in 4th dimension, we get a report generated by our support team on every monthly basis on your billing cycles. and we send it to you for free of cost. So the report generation of the services is free of cost, and we do it for every customers we have on every month. That can help you even to track the changes happens on monthly basis or the tools even happening. And there are few customers who are even available for knock and sock services by 24/7. So we have a separate team specifically located in our office itself. But due to pandemic, people are working from home. So they work from their home. They have the separate monitoring tool, which is a customized, for customer specific, and they work on it and they get you, updates on very, very easier, way, and also in a faster way. So we have a specific SLA to work on, and we work on the SLA. We fulfill our SLA to keep you happy and satisfied. So that is what, all about the service and monitoring in fourth dimension technologies. Okay. So I think like we have almost covered all the topics of, function from anywhere. So be it Azure WVDA, or be it Azure virtual machines, or be it the security features available from 4D as well as from the Microsoft, and very importantly for the productivity tools like OneDrive or Teams or Yammer and other features, anything is available, okay, with Azure. I guess I have explained all the topics in that. And last but not the least, one more reiteration which I would like to do is, you're not going to completely move to Azure. You can do it if you want. You can also do it in a time basis, like until the lockdown is over. So both are available. So option number one, sorry, option number one, completely move your data center to cloud. You don't have to worry about it. But if you still have your data, or if you still have your data center and you don't want to waste it, you can even temporarily move things to the Azure data center, where you can use it until this pandemic lockdown situation is over, and then get back to your own data center. That is also done. I guess like I have cleared everything which is required to work from home scenario, and I'm leaving it to you on the question session. So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and ask your questions. And as well as you can also put your questions in the chat box. That can help you a lot.
Yeah, Ram, like we do have one question from one of our participants, Mr. Kalaivanan. So this is regarding two-factor authentication. Yes. So for authentication, I would prefer to use 2FA using OTP sent to the registered mobile number. The registered mobile number should be configurable only by the organization system admin or IT person. Please let me know on this if possible. This was a question.
Yeah. It is completely possible, and that is only configured by the system administrator. End user cannot do it. You can still restrict like both the ways. If you want your end user to do it, yes, you can allow that. Or if you want the IT administrator to do that, that also you can do it. So both ways are possible, and the two-factor authentication can be done only by a OTP also. The other features can be disabled.
And there's another question, I guess. Can I use OneDrive Business as a cloud backup?
Cloud backup as in like you can either if it's like you want to take local disk copy onto the cloud, yes, you can do it. That will act like a copy backup, not like an exact backup scenario. It will act like a copy backup kind of a thing. Again, yes, it is a backup, but copy backup kind of a thing. That is one way you can do it.
So, Mr. Gopal, is it clear? So, are we clear on the response part? So, he's asking about the
automated backup. So, as of now, with OneDrive, the automated backup is not possible. But whereas it is possible for your My Documents, My Pictures, and the primary folders of a user, it is not available for the other drives like D or E drives as of now. But if you have any free tools like there are tools available through which you can again connect it with your OneDrive. Automated backup.
Hope it's clear, Mr. Gopal. Hope it's clear. Does any of the participants have any doubts or queries? Please feel free to raise it over here. No, I don't think there's another question.
Dear guest, you can also unmute and ask it. Yeah. Can I restrict personal? OD access while allowing.
allowing OD business.
Mr. Gopal, could you please elaborate OD because I would like to understand, what do you mean by OD?
OneDrive
Okay.
access.
Can I restrict personal OneDrive access while allowing OneDrive for business? See, personal OneDrive you cannot restrict because personal OneDrive is customer's OneDrive, so only they can restrict it. But you can, restrict the Windows operating system by not allowing the user to configure their personal OneDrive in the same system. That can be done. You cannot restrict their OneDrive, but you can restrict the user from configuring the personal OneDrive into the office system. That can be done. And again, the same way. Can we show the practical session for what, sir? Like, for what you're asking for the practical session? Like for OneDrive or? Okay, Azure AD. Yes, sir, we can do it definitely, but not right now. Probably we can do it, as a separate session where we would like to understand. Gayatri, please note down the customer's number and email ID, Mr. S. Vijayan, so that we can, assist him on a trial for the, Azure AD concept. Yes, sir, we will definitely work out. We'll come back to you on probably by today evening or by Monday morning. We'll connect with you individually, and then we will work on the solutions that you require for. We can even go for trial, or we can even go for the POC as well.
Yeah, I'm having it. Is there any other questions from the participants? Should we wait for a second?
Yeah, maybe for 1 or 2 minutes we can wait, guys. I guess so.
I will do that. So viewers, please keep in mind, if not now, if you have any queries, maybe you can get in touch with us, maybe post the session also. So we'll be happy to take them and answer your queries.
Gayatri, I guess no one is asking a question. Okay, so I think we'll wind up the session. Okay, so before winding up, I've told you, I've given you an explanation how the 4D is functioning. Okay, there's a small briefing that we have given over here how the 4D is functioning from home. Okay, so the things that we have implemented is we have all our emails in Office 365 E3 plan, which is added with the Azure Active Directory for the security. Even in fact, my laptop is also restricted with the Azure Active Directory Intune product, through which my laptop was restricted restricted to copy any contents via the USB. So I can never copy any contents from my laptop to the pen drive. So, or even from the pen drive to the laptop, both cannot be done. And okay, so we specifically in cloud team, we do our daily meetings, weekly meetings, and all the monthly meetings via the teams. Our weekly reviews happens via the team. Quarterly business reviews happen via the teams. Teams application, I mean. Okay, even our customer engagements are also happening via the teams, which is like webinars or discussions, implementation meetings, doubt clarifications, everything happens via team. Because like if 1-to-1 or maximum of 3 person or 4 person, probably phone conference call could help. But if there is something to be shown or something to be changed, Teams obviously helps, because Teams also have share your screen option or remote desktop kind of a feature. So that is also, we are doing it via the Teams. So our complete documentation to our customers will also happen via OneDrive. Any files or any folders that we have, which we share it to our customers, everything is stored on our OneDrive. So from our OneDrive, from my OneDrive specifically, the files are there. I have shared my OneDrive access to my team people with the read permission, where they don't have the write permission. Only my manager has the right permission, and my counterpart has the right permission. Rest of the teammates, all the salesperson and everyone in the organization only has the read permission, and the account people doesn't even have a permission to access my file. and all the documents will be shared from my OneDrive to their OneDrive, and from their OneDrive they fetch the data and send it as an attachment to our end users. I mean our customers and end users, those whomever is requiring it. And we also have a CRM. I customized the CRM. We use it, and the customized CRM is also hosted in Microsoft Azure. And we have configured VPN. Like we have configured two things. We have configured VPN. We have also configured RDS, remote desktop service. Both are available for us, from Azure perspective. So I am accessing via RDP. The team girls are accessing via VPN because space restriction is also there. Because via VPN they can download data if it's required from the CRM, but via RDP you cannot download anything. You can only access it. So salespeople needs the quotations to be downloaded from the CRM, so they access it via VPN. And we technical parts, we don't need to download anything, so we only need to update the changes in customer queries. So we access it via the RDP. So that is also done. And our accounts team is also enabled with the Tally with RDS, and so they do use the Tally from their home, VPN enabled, and RDS enabled the Tally. So this is a small, a very small briefing about a cloud team's specification. So the entire other teams that we have, other departments that we have, are also working from home. So they also have their own applications and other things deployed on cloud. So if I add that, the list will become more bigger. Might take like 2 or 3 slides. So that's why we have restricted to only the cloud teams, functioning of working from anywhere option. So this might help you to understand, what are the basic things, the very easiest things that we can do, very cheapest things, very low cost things that we can do using the Azure in a good way of productivity to work from anywhere solution, especially work from home, maybe you can say. Okay. I guess this could help you a lot in understanding function from anywhere. So I would like to give a thank you from my side first of all, and just a small note for all the customers. There's a QR code available on the screen. To enter your feedback, you can just scan the QR code and then send us a feedback. If you're not able to scan it, please wait. Our account managers will be, sending you the feedback link via WhatsApp or email, possibly.
Excuse me, Ram. I had one question to my mail ID. One Mr. Ramachandran, he's also a participant for the webinar. He was asking me if he can get any presentations or the recordings of the webinar for his future reference.
Yeah, obviously the recordings will be soon available on our website or our YouTube channel. So please wait for the recordings. It will be available on the YouTube channel.
As of now, that's all for the questions, I believe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ram, for the wonderful presentation. So it was an interactive session. Hope all might have enjoyed this session. So again, I repeat, viewers, please keep in mind that for any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to the session too. So we'll be happy to take forward them and answer your queries. So once again, I will thank all the participants. As always, we hope to do business with you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.